With the amount of commentary channels that are on YouTube, it's fairly easy to pick your white guy and watch his videos. So I'm sure by now, or at least earlier in the year, you heard about the situation in which a YouTuber crashed his plane on purpose for clicks. Unfortunately for me, I was unable to cover it at the time as I was busy going through my special operations training. Or for you non-military people, my TTA training, Tactical Technician Associate. Meaning I didn't actually serve, but I knew a guy who did. And the reason I went through that is so I could specifically cover this story. I wanted to have an advantage that none of these other guys did, aside from being white and coming from a middle class background. And that is, I wanted the mindset of someone who's been in high stress situations such as these, and an in-depth knowledge on tactical procedures. As I'm a huge fan of the saying, it's about quality, not quantity. And that's also why 3 inches is perfectly adequate. Without further ado, let's give you a little bit of better context.
A YouTuber had his pilot's license revoked for crashing a plane on purpose. Trevor Jacob is a snowboarder who represented the United States at the 2014 Sochi Olympics. It's a stunt from December 2021 that has Jacob in hot water with the Federal Aviation Authority. In a video titled, "I Crashed My Plane," Trevor is seen parachuting over the Los Padres National Forest in California, leaving his Taylorcraft BL-65 plane to crash without a pilot. Jacob says his engine stopped.
Holy I'm over the mountains and I get out an engine out.
But he made no attempt to call air traffic control's emergency line or restart the engine before bailing on the aircraft. The fact that he was already wearing a parachute and that his selfie stick was in hand as he jumped had a lot of people wondering if this was staged.
Well, lucky for us, we no longer have to wonder because Trevor has pleaded guilty. Who could have predicted the man who had a pre-prepared camera and a parachute attached to his back was lying and faking it? How could we possibly not fall for his great acting skills?
Oh no, guys, my plane stalled. I'm gonna parachute now. Any single girls hit me in the DMs.
Trevor, as a result of his stunt, is now looking down the barrel at a fresh 20-year prison sentence. All over trying to get clout. And what makes it even worse is allegedly he admitted to the authorities that the video was made in order to promote a crypto wallet. Imagine ending up in prison for what is a quarter of your life, sitting around a bunch of hard criminals, and having to explain to all of those hard criminals that you were so obscenely wealthy, not only could you afford a plane, but you could afford to crash it. I'm sure that's going to go down very well with the people who probably stole and killed in order to feed their family. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys why you shouldn't crash aeroplanes. Somehow I feel like that's common sense. You could kill people, you could kill yourself, and or cause serious damage. The way I want to tackle this video is from a different perspective, just like I was taught to do in basic training. Basic training, of course, being me and my friends watching Rambo, but I still feel like I learned a few lessons. Plus, like my squad says, I'm the most elite agent we have. They don't call me the child predator for nothing. I was easily the best at hide and go seek amongst our group. And during the ages of 10 to 13 to 25, the hell I saw in those foxhole trenches between the bushes of houses would have scarred any man and forced my eyes to open up to new perspectives. And I want to open my legs wide open to Trevor. As we've all been aware already, Trevor is an Olympic athlete. So why anybody of his high caliber would be making videos like this is already in of itself confusing. Or at least it was to me before I carried on looking at this guy's YouTube channel. Those videos gave me a new perspective. See what I did there? The child predator strikes again. And that perspective is, Trevor doesn't seem like a bad guy at all. To me, it kind of seems like Trevor unfortunately got caught in the clout mind virus. A personal opinion I hold very dear. I think YouTube as what it was is dead. Or at least at the bare minimum is shedding its skin. The days of a guy just kind of sitting in his bedroom and saying something racist are starting to disappear. And it's truly sad to see all of these YouTubers from the bygone era who used to respect the craft of being really racist fade away from existence. YouTube and social media in general used to be about fun. It used to be about having a good time. You didn't make, I hate this word, content because you had the chance of becoming a millionaire. You made it because you thought it was funny to do so. Don't get me wrong, there still are a couple of YouTubers who are holding this true. The people who immediately spring to mind are iShowSpeed and Moist Critical, who just both seem to be having a good time. But to me, or at least in my experience, it seems like the majority of people who start channels nowadays are just kind of doing it in the hopes of getting rich and or becoming famous. Now, this is absolutely no disrespect to Bestiality Boy, but I think he plays a factor into it. Mr. Beast, by pushing his content in a certain direction, inadvertently created the YouTube game show host. A Mr. Beast video, for example, isn't about Mr. Beast. It's about the spectacle that Mr. Beast can pull off. Like, if you took Mr. Beast out of the equation and just replaced him with a different host, there would be absolutely vertically zero difference. And from doing this over the course of many years, he's built up an audience to the point that he's probably the biggest channel by now, if not second. This has led to an absolutely crazy amount of copycats following him in hopes of catching some of the sweat that he drizzles out of his ass. And now it's escalated to the point that some people just straight up think to themselves, well, if I do something crazy, people will notice me, i.e. crash a plane. Like I said earlier in the video, Trevor is definitely not hurting for money. He's an Olympic athlete. So the only motivation for him to intentionally crash his plane and intentionally pull off this stunt is to get more clicks and followers on a YouTube page and become famous. Yes, I said the word become, because how many Olympic athletes can you name off your one hand? I know what he did was absolutely terrible, and he's definitely going to pay for it. But when you look at it through that lens, you really feel bad for him, because he's pathetic. There's a fantastic line from a YBN Corday song that always springs to mind whenever I see people like this. I think we all want to be a little Instagram famous. Deep down, nobody wants to be nameless. I, of course, struggle to relate to this emotion. As a TTA officer, we are trained from the minute that we enlist that our lives are in God's hands, and at any point we could pop a blood vessel from saluting too hard. But that doesn't mean Agent Child Predator is just purely ice veins. Unfortunately, to me, it just seems like Trevor is an incredibly insecure individual. In the era that we live in, where anybody can be famous for anything they do, a lot of people see this as their ticket way into Valhalla. They kind of see being famous as being immortal. Nobody wants to be forgotten. Nobody wants to be one of the poor dirty faces in the mass. So some people think to themselves, maybe if I can attain a little bit of fame, nobody will forget me. And honestly, I can't think of a more unhealthy way to live. Life shouldn't be about legacy. That's a stupid ass concept. Be honest with yourself. How many names out of the entirety of human history are remembered to this day? You have to do something pretty f***ing significant. So why live your life chasing down this impossible dream of being remembered forever? Why are you doing these dangerous activities in order to never be forgotten? Because if you were jumping out of this plane and crashing it for your own enjoyment, you wouldn't have lied about it stalling. Red Bull sponsoring you to do that isn't as exciting for an audience member as that spontaneously happening. And it's going to succeed in exactly what you want, creating a viral video. Have I made it to the land of milk and honey? Will I be remembered now? This chasing for other people's approval and cementing your own legacy is such an unhealthy and terrible way to live your own life. You should be doing things that put a smile on your face because it makes you happy, and not aiming for this ridiculously lofty goal. Trust me, I speak from experience. At one point in time, I wanted everybody to always remember my name, and I tried really hard to be recognized for my talents. Do you know how many months I spent trying to become the face of the word child predator? Do you know how many hours I poured over Google, showing off my elite agent skills for zero to no recognition? All I was doing was making myself miserable, because I was doing it for others and I wasn't doing it for me. I couldn't be the best possible child predator that I could be because I was too busy thinking about what other people thought about me and not what I thought about myself. So to you, Trevor, you're going to be spending the next 20 years of your life in prison, presumably, for doing an outrageously stupid thing that could have potentially killed a bunch of people, just because you didn't want anyone to forget your name. Reflect on yourself while you're behind those bars, because at this point, nobody's going to remember your name. But I hope all of you remember to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.